is the storyteller aware of the fact being making up stories, being lying, or whatever you might call it? And I answered to this question, why don't you go and ask her for yourself? And then there was a sudden cut. I actually intended to go somewhat deeper into this subject, but I became so proud of this unexpected punchline. Won't risk that one passing on unnoticed to the world. I promise I will never make jokes again. At least not jokes with a punchline. Now I'm completely sure about the difference between being serious and joking. But I would actually say that the storyteller, mythmaker, is not, in a common sense, aware of being lying, making up things, or at least having some different view to things about what's the actual border between true and false. So what are the characteristics of a storyteller? Mythomaniac. Those I have met have usually been more exclusively specialized into this field of myth making, and apart from that, they do not necessarily have any specific disorder or anything like that. But there are usually some kind of personality issue, or in many cases traits of ADHD. But I have no idea about how these connections might perhaps be drawn, or how one would explain the other, except for maybe hunting for thrills. Might be something like that. And this actually, I would say, is really believing it's this that really makes things difficult for the surroundings, because they will not admit that their stories are not true in a more objective sense, not at least as true as they are to herself. So you won't ever get a chance to discuss this, and they are not likely to seek any treatment for this. So, as far as they are concerned, there really is not anything wrong with things. And actually being confronted with things, they have their very peculiar way of avoiding. So how come you have told me this and now it appears that I can't bother myself with this kind of discussions. No, not discussions. I'm only asking, wouldn't this be considered a little lie? Well, we may have our opinions, right? Yeah, opinions. Speaking about, you're telling stories about something that really has not happened. Yeah, but how can you be so sure? And never never actually even acknowledge the very issue as such, making no comments from avoiding things exactly the same way as we associate with politicians. And maybe some people will settle with that. Well, I got an answer. Did it make any sense? Well, I guess. In what way did this explain anything? This might simply be that there are different kind of cognitions, and some are more common than others, and this perhaps also will make things possible, make it possible being a myth maker, because there are certain limits to how much resistance they will meet, and might actually be that if most people had another way of thinking, then the myth maker might perhaps have other ways of reasoning or defending. I might in this case be a minority, and this typical myth makers might perhaps have no presets preparing for me or people thinking like me. So it's not necessary. What the fuck if 9 out of 10 accepts this? What does it matter if one single person will not? I really can't imagine, and it doesn't really matter. The point is that we do have them among us, and I don't know if it's even if we should even look upon it as something related. They might perhaps all be telling stories for different reasons, even if they have this in common, actually believing. This is also what makes things so hard to handle. As they become so engaged by their own stories, thrilled or whatever, that you would not imagine someone with that shouldn't say obsession, but still having that inner drive. You wouldn't expect that to be made up stories, fairy tales. And I will make a chapter of its own where I will make some examples, because they do have now speaking about stereotypical myth makers without any obvious signs of other stuff, but apparently having this streak, this feature, and have a quick fuck, and then we meet again.